I started thinking this week, what if I could go back and talk to a previous version of myself from a few years ago? If I could only give one piece of advice, if I could only say one thing, what would it be? And I thought about that for a while. There's certainly tons of stuff that I've learned over the last couple of years that would be super useful for the earlier version of me that was really struggling. But there was one thing that really stood out, and it was the one thing that caused me to lose at least 2 years of my creator life in just a spiral. So I decided if I could go back and talk to this earlier version of myself, I would give a warning. So the reason I wanted to make this video is to share with you my experience, what happened to me, so hopefully you can learn from that and you won't make the same mistakes I did. So the story starts about 9 or 10 years ago. I was into cooking and camping, and I decided to pick up a camera and just start making videos about the stuff I was interested in. I sometimes wonder as creators if we don't think often about that time, about when we just picked up a camera and just made videos because we wanted to make videos, because it was fun, because it was exciting, because it was just a really cool thing to do. It was a hobby. And that's where I was at the time. I didn't care about metrics or views. I didn't even have YouTube Studio back then. I was just publishing stuff on YouTube because I enjoyed doing it. And I had a bunch of fun doing that. There was no pressure, there was no expectations, I wasn't stressing over metrics, I wasn't looking at retention graphs. I was just making videos and enjoying it. But after a while, I started to notice that these videos I was pushing out into the void were starting to get a bit of traction. It started with getting 100 views and then a couple of hundred views. And then when I started getting videos reaching 1,000 views, I started thinking sort of, wow, people actually like my videos. I wasn't expecting that. People are actually watching this stuff. At the time, I was in a bit of a crossroads in my life. I was approaching my 40s. I was disillusioned with work. I was looking for a new path, for a second act. And I started to see creators on YouTube who were making a living out of it. And I hadn't really thought about YouTube in that way before. It was just a hobby for me. But when I started seeing other creators who were making a living, who were getting paid to do what they love, that hit me really hard. And I kind of knew then that that's what I wanted to be. I think I'd found my North Star. I wanted to be a YouTuber. And this for me is where things started to go a bit downhill, and you might be in the same boat. You might have been making YouTube videos for a while as a hobby, but now you're seeing others who are having some success and maybe you want to make a living out of it, a full-time income or just a side hustle. But either way, you want to level up your game. You want to get better at making YouTube videos, and that's where I was at. So one thing that became really clear back then was that although I loved making videos, I didn't know what the heck I was doing back then. I didn't understand how to film properly with a camera, I didn't understand editing, I didn't understand the YouTube platform. I was just making videos and posting them, and I knew I had a lot to learn if I was going to catch up with these successful creators out there and turn it into more than a hobby. So I started doing what I guess we all do, and I'm sure you've done it. I started watching YouTube educational videos. I really wanted to level up my skills, I wanted to make better videos, and it just seemed like YouTube had this infinite supply of education right at my fingertips. And that's kind of how it started. I watched one video and then I watched another video, and before long I'd fallen into the YouTube education rabbit hole and I fell deep. And the thing with YouTube as a viewer, the more content that you watch in a particular area, the more you're going to get fed that content when you log in, the more you're going to see that in your feed. So I was just discovering all these YouTube gurus who had all the secrets to success on YouTube, and I couldn't get enough at the time. I was watching one after the other after the other. And it became an obsession. The more videos I watched, the more I convinced myself that these videos were leading me closer and closer to the promised land, but the only place I ended up was the next video. It took me a long time to realize it, but I was actually building my own mental prison. Watching these gurus reveal how to tap into unlimited potential on YouTube became an addiction. But like any addiction, one hit was never enough. I always had to do one more video because it just felt that I was so close to unlocking these secrets. I just needed to keep going to watch one more video and I'll get there. And I was just stuck in this perpetual lie. So the problem seems so clear now looking back, but at the time I didn't realize it. I was just falling into this world of consuming educational content, and the deeper I fell into it, the more I started doubting my own content, doubting my own abilities. I was so wrapped up in chasing the key to success that I lost myself in it. And I went down a path of constant procrastination and overthinking and self-doubt, and that just led to stagnation. And eventually I just stopped making any content whatsoever. I was just completely dead in the water. And right then, right at the lowest moment, I nearly gave up completely. I was disheartened, I was exhausted, I just felt like I just couldn't make it. It wasn't for me. And I think honestly, this is where a lot of new creators do give up. I think when you start out, you get excited and then you fall into this YouTube guru educational machine that chews you up and spits you out as like the shell of the creator that you once were. And many people just quit at that point and that's it, they move on. But I came close to quitting. I didn't actually quit, and something happened to me during this time, and I started really thinking really hard, looking really hard and pragmatically at all these things that I was watching, these people I was following, and just trying to unpick what was going on. And the more I started looking at these gurus, the more it started to make sense. I could see patterns emerging between all of them, and it was like a curtain being lifted. It was like Neo seeing the Matrix for the first time. And that's when it really hit me that the YouTube growth industry is fucking toxic. It took me a long time to see it for what it really is, that for the majority of these gurus, it's just a system to keep you hooked, to keep you coming back for the next video. You get just enough information in one video to make you feel like you're improving, but you're really not. You're just being led by the hand through a sales funnel to ultimately sign up for their course. And I realized that the years I'd spent watching these gurus, I wasn't being taught, I was being groomed. So here's the ugly truth that YouTube gurus don't want you to know. Yes, there are some fundamental things you do need to learn to be successful on YouTube. There are some massive mistakes that people make that will really affect their growth. But there aren't as many as you think. Yes, things like titles and thumbnails, super important. Getting your hooks right in your videos, very important. There are things to learn. But a lot of what these gurus are spouting out time and time again is just fine-tuning, or it's rehashing the same idea again and again. You see, the problem for the gurus is that just teaching the basics isn't enough. They need to keep you coming back for more. They need to keep you on the hamster wheel so you spin it enough times that you eventually pay for their course. So the only way they can do that is to release a constant churn of the same concepts, just rehashed with a slightly different spin to make it sound fresh. And that's all they're doing. When you really look at the structure of these videos, when you look at what they're teaching, again and again and again, it's the same things, rehashed, repackaged, slight spin, keep you on the hamster wheel. So the problem, at least for me, is that I fell for it. I fell hook, line and sinker. I was watching hours of this stuff, convincing myself that I was improving, where I was just stagnating. So I just want to make one thing clear. Yes, there are things that you do need to learn. There are fundamental concepts that are really important for YouTube. And there are some great people, great instructors, great channels on YouTube that teach this stuff. I'm not dumping on all YouTube educational creators. I follow a few myself. In fact, I'm probably going to do a video shortly on people I follow on what I would call healthy YouTube educational content. But you need to be aware that there's a darker side as well. There's a darker side lurking out there, and a lot of these gurus are not aligned with your interests. They're not aligned with helping you succeed, and you're just being led by the hand through a sales funnel into a course that you don't need. And if I'm being really honest, after watching so much of this YouTube guru crap, when I started making videos around helping other creators, I felt myself going down this same niche, and I started to feel like I was making really inauthentic content, that I was just spouting the same crap that I'd heard for the last 2 years. And that's not who I want to be as a creator. That's not how I want to help people. That's not who I want to be. I want to help small creators overcome real small creator issues, real struggles. And I do that just by sharing my own journey and my own experiences and things I'm going through, or have recently been through, or I'm going through right now. So if you'd rather hear from someone going through the same journey as you, sharing their experiences, making real connections, then feel free to subscribe to this channel. There's no step-by-step guides, there's no courses, there's no hacks. It's just me sharing what I've learned and what I'm learning along the way. And remember one thing, the next time you find yourself on a 6-hour YouTube educational video binge, remember that as creators, we never stop learning. We always need to keep learning. But we learn by doing, and then failing, and then improving, and then doing again. Failing is not a bad thing. Failing is essential for growth, and failing will teach you a lot more than any guru ever could. So that's all I got for today. YouTube is recommending that you watch this video next because it reckons you're going to really like it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Push it to the limit, I can't go no more.